Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be looking into a very interesting piece of software called 3D Studio Max. Some of you might have heard about it in the past, but do keep in mind it is one of the most widely used software packages around in the entertainment industry, ranging from architecture visualization to motion graphics to visual effects to game development even as well. So everything pretty much goes through this software. Of course, you still require third-party plugins here and there, but most of the heavy lifting is being done in this software. So let's get started. So the main UI can be split up into 4 separate parts. You have the main toolbar here on the top, and you got the viewport here. And then you got the command panel on the right side. And then you got the track bar or the timeline on the bottom. Let's start with how you can move around in the viewport. So here I've got 4 separate viewports within that one main viewport. So I got the front view, I got the top view, I've got the left view, and then I've got the perspective view. And most of the times, new beginners, they would always go for the perspective view, but let's be honest, I mean, it looks good, you know, it gives you the 3-dimensional representation of your scene. So, and you can accurately perceive what you're creating in the perspective viewport. Zooming in and zooming out is as simple as doing the mouse wheel up and mouse wheel down. And then drag your viewport around or drag your camera around. You can just hold down the middle mouse button and you can drag around like this. And if you want to orbit around a particular point, you can just hold down the Alt key and then the middle mouse button, and then you can orbit around your objects or around your grid for the time being. And then if you want to zoom extend all, you just press the Z key. That pretty much focuses on anything that you got selected in the scene. Under our situation, we got nothing selected, we got nothing created, so it's just gonna concentrate on the grid. So other more important key is the Alt plus W, which is the maximize viewport key. Okay, so toggling in, toggling out. I'm gonna keep it maximized for the rest of the lesson, so please follow me along. So just a recap: zoom in, zoom out, mouse wheel in, mouse wheel out, dragging your camera, hold down the mouse wheel, the middle mouse button, like so. And then if you want to orbit an object, Alt plus middle mouse button, and then Z is for zoom extends all. Okay, so let's get started with the command panel now. So this particular panel is quite an important one. So you will be creating pretty much everything that you need to create within 3ds Max from this particular panel. As we can see, we are currently in the Create tab. So we got a bunch of other tabs here. Don't worry about the other ones yet. For this particular lesson, we don't need to explore any of that for the time being. So here, we're in the standard primitives as well. So standard primitives, self-explanatory. So we got the box, cone, sphere, geosphere, cylinder, teapot, and all the other goodies. So let's just quickly create a box. So I'm just going to select the box here. You can see we got all the parameters being shown here as well. And then we're just going to drag it here in the viewport. Let's say from here. So drag it out, and then at any other point, just let go, and then one more click and you're done. Okay, so as you can see here, we're still in the create mode. So if I want, I can keep on going. I can keep on creating other bits here as well. And it's just gonna keep. So at any point, once you're done creating stuff, you can just literally right click at any point, like so, and you're out of the creation mode. So that's the basics behind creating it. And now, if you want, you can create other bits here as well, like cylinder, course, a teapot. I'm not sure if you guys know about it, but a teapot it goes all the way back to the first versions of 3ds Max. So it is, yeah, it's a gem. It's a gem when it comes to the history of 3ds Max. So whenever you hear 3ds Max, you always think about the teapots. Yeah, it's got that sort of a sentiment to it. So that's pretty much the basics of the create panel. And then the second bit is, how do you interact or how do you manipulate the objects that you've just created? And for that, we move over to the main toolbar here. Don't get confused by all the buttons here. I will let you know only the ones that you need to know and the ones that you're going to be using over and over again in the near future. So let's say the most important buttons in this particular toolbar are the select objects button, the move, select and move button, select and rotate, and scale. So 4 in total: selection, move, rotate, and scale. And if you look closely, you can actually see the hotkeys being associated with, for example, this one is associated to letter E. So the ones that you need to keep in mind is Q, W, E, R. Q for selection, W for move, E for rotate, R for scale. So yeah, these are the keys you're going to be using quite a bit whenever you're creating something or some basic transformation. Okay, so how do we move our teapot? Well, first things first, you need to make sure it's selected, like so, and then you can engage the move tool, which is W, like so. As you can see, the gizmo has changed, so now we can either move it in any one axis. As you can see here, if you hover over it without clicking, you can actually see the manipulations of the axis happening, or we can actually move in 2 axes at the same time. So you can either move in X, Y, or Z, or X and Y, Z and X, Y and Z. At any point, if you want to undo whatever you've done, do the good old Control Z. It's gonna move 1 step behind of whatever you've done. The same thing goes for the rotation. So you just engage the rotation tool by pressing the E key. And now the gizmo has changed into a circular pattern, which applies when the rotation mode. So now you can rotate into each and every axis. Or you can do a mix of all 3 together as well. Again, you want to move back a step, Control Z, and you're done. Same thing goes for the scale tool. You can engage it with the R key, and then we can scale up in one axis or in the other axis all together as well. Just going to do Control Z, pull it back. Okay, so quick recap: Q for selection, W for move, E for rotation, R for scale. And you can pretty much manipulate any object to see. You can move them around, do whatever you want. Okay, the next thing I want to touch base on is how do you animate your stuff in 3ds Max. So for that, we're gonna need our timeline here. As you can see, we can scrub our timeline by holding the button here, and we can see it's ranging from 0 to 100. And let's say we want to animate our teapot to move around and rotate around. And in order to do that, what you need to do is you need to first engage the auto key, like so. As soon as we do that, we can see the timeline has gone red, as well as our viewport has gone red as well. So we are in the auto key mode. So let's go to frame 40 for the sake of it, and then just select our teapot here then go into move to, and just keep an eye out, see what happens here. So right now we got nothing in the timeline. So as soon as I move, boom. See that? You got a keyframes appearing here. So it has automatically detected a change in the transforms, and it has created a keyframe for us. Let's just make it a little bit more complicated. Let's just move it up, and then go into rotate to. Let's just move it around like so. We can even do the scale as well. So, okay, now if we scrub our timeline, we can see our animation happening, our first animation. And if you're happy with everything, just make sure to exit the auto key mode like so. You now have your first keyframed animation. And that's the basics of it. And at any point, if you want to make it a more interesting animation, you can actually select this keyframe, hold down Shift, drag it to the point you want, and let go. So what that's gonna do is that's gonna give you sort of like a ping pong effect. And at any moment, instead of scrubbing the timeline, you can just literally play like so. Okay, right. So what we've covered is the main UI. We've covered the command panel, the timeline, the transform tools, and camera navigation. I hope you guys learned something new today. Like, share, and subscribe, because that's going to help me immensely to keep on creating these videos in the future. I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye-bye.